What up?
What's going on, everybody?
People of the world, get ready, get a notepad and a paper because this is going to be extremely, extremely important. You might even listen to this twice, okay? Because we're about to give you a lot of...
Yeah, maybe just grab your smartphone. Maybe that's all you need.
Yeah, maybe just have Siri actually just listen to this whole thing for you and you can just take a nap.
Yeah, exactly. Get her to output some of the key concepts because there are benefits. Do you think there's benefits to technology? Mitch, do you think there's some benefit to technology? Or do you think technology is evil and we should go back to the...
Yeah, I'm scared of technology, man. I just saw Elon Musk talked about the Optimus thing. You see those? My robot in real life? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
there's only harm that can come from that. There's only harm that can come from automation. There's only harm, actually.
Yeah.
In technology itself, there's only harm. Or actually, there's good in technology, but automation is all evil.
Yeah.
Or actually, I don't know. Fuck it. Let's just see how we can use technology for our personal benefit. What do you think?
Okay. Let's do it. So let me just come up with some things real quick of what we should discuss here. Okay. Yeah, let me just search my smartphone for the answer. I'm just kidding. Okay. Everybody. We got this cool thing in our lives called
comment if you love our dumb fucking intros.
Comment if you love technology or hate technology and why.
Yeah. Comment like 3 equals, then one of those like greater than signs, then like little squirts onto the word technology if you love technology, and comment if you get it.
Yes.
If you get what I just said.
That is now how we're going to know who of you likes technology and will get a lot out of this and who doesn't, because either way, technology is part of your life. Okay. Love it or hate it. Here we are. And this audio experience is going to be a training for you. So you can start to see the technology around you and actually use it to your advantage. Because when you look at your phone, what's like the first feeling and reaction you have to your phone? Like really look at it. If you were to look at my phone and then come up with 5 words that you would use to describe it, what would you say? Right? Isn't that interesting? Like if someone did a word web around their phone, because we spend so much time with the thing. They're like pictures, Instagram, Snapchat, hatred, fear.
Yeah, like anxious, stress, fun,
exactly. Notification, right?
Connection, notification. Yeah.
And like think about that. Like that phone is part of your life. We're gonna have phones or something like a phone for the rest of our lives. Right down the it'll be Google glasses or freaking talking, just like voice technology. But either way, this is part of our lives. And so the point here, right, is that this technology is able to be used to our advantage if we're clear on our starting point or our intention with it. So Asif and I are going to share some things that we use our technology for that have helped us really grow quickly and in a way where it's like less stressful. I'll just say it like that. Like when I didn't have this stuff under control, I was stressed out and had no clear like agenda with it, and everything was kind of chaotic. And then now it's nice and I'm way more effective. How about you, Asif? How could you describe you before you implemented some of the things we're going to talk about here? The before and after. Tell us before and
after. Productivity all-time low. Stress from looking at my phone all-time high, and money being made like mediocre at best, because start seeing your phone as almost a personal assistant. When I started adopting that perspective, that's when I started seeing these little points that we're going to share with you that end up being big points, because then it's like, oh shit, this whole time I'm, paying a personal assistant to follow me around, and the personal assistant is stressing me out more. Well, I got to rework that relationship. Like, how do I actually benefit from having a personal assistant in my pocket, on my, wherever, all the time? So I mean, yeah, definitely massive shifts from being able to see it that way. Start seeing it as a personal assistant rather than just a device that I use to chat with people every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Because when you can set up your phone right, and the other things that we'll get into in a little bit here, when that's set up right and you're the director of it, that then becomes really cool, right? Because then you can it's what we call a force multiplier. So it will make you exponentially more effective, and that's always fun to be way more effective than you currently are. Yeah, I remember back in the day for me, just seeing my phone as just like entertainment and like it's fun, you know, text my friends, text my ex-girlfriend at the time, get back together with me, please. I'm just kidding. And and it was just a big distraction. It was like I just go on Facebook and look, oh, who commented on my stuff and all that. It was like,
oh, group chat with my boys.
Yeah, exactly. It
Very
was
cool
like the whole starting point was just consumption, and it's not good. So for all y'all listening, first, I would just write this down for yourself. Like when you look at your phone, specifically phone, and your relationship with it, what is like the honest, like self-honest, how do you feel towards this thing? What is this thing in your life? Just look at that for yourself. And again, you might listen to this again a month later. Look at it again. Note how it changes or how it doesn't change. And that's a good reflection back to you of how much you're changing. So let's dive in, Asif, to one of the first ways that we use our phone in our notes that pretty dang helpful. Okay, you want to touch on the we jokingly call it the external brain. Yeah,
I mean, really, both the calendar and the to-do list are dimensions of an external brain that you should be using extensively. And here's the tricky thing that I want to preface the to-do list point with is you have to go all in with it or else you're going to miss stuff. So in other words, if you start a to-do list, you're going to notice immediate relief in the amount of overwhelm that you feel. Unless you just keep adding to the to-do list and you never actually do anything, it's going to contribute to it because it still comes back to who you are. If you're still just a lazy piece of poo-poo and doing nothing, then yes, it's just going to overwhelm you, right? But for those of you who are listening to this, I know that people listening to this, you guys are at least trying, and you guys are pushing yourself. You guys are seeing ways that you could become more and more and more productive, effective, structured, disciplined, right? And it's going to come back around to, I would say, Mitch, the 2 points we're going to cover today are the to-do list and the calendar. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, those are the two main ones to really lay the groundwork.
Cool. Just really think about this concept of an external brain. It's like, think of your mind, right? And there's like a storm going on in your mind, and there's so much flowing through it all the time, and all of that, it's just a whirlwind of information and to-dos and sad memory and what I got to do today and what I got to eat and I need to go pee, and there's so many different things, right? And just implementing a to-do list. A to-do list being, there are things that we all pop into our mind every hour or 2 or 3 or 4, or at least every day for sure. Things you got to do. You got to take out the trash. You got to file your taxes. You got to fix that thing on your car. You got to send flowers for this person. There's so many things, right? Respond to this message, call this person, build this relationship, send this email. There's so many things that accumulate. And what we try to do at some point, at some point in everyone's process of taking on more responsibility, which really means making more money, being more effective, getting into a relationship, whatever the case may be, as you grow within that responsibility, it's going to become unsustainable if you just try to keep that stuff in your mind. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's really looking at the purpose of a to-do list being to externalize all these swirling tasks that pop up throughout the day. Hey, Mitch, can you do that thing for me? Can you send me that list? You're either doing it right now, or you have to keep it in your mind. Oh, yeah, I'm going to remember. And then you keep forgetting and forgetting. You feel guilty and it fucks up things and other people frown upon it. There's so many things that happen. So this is why you would implement a to-do list. Either you're doing it right now, or it's going into your to-do list or your calendar, which we'll get into in a moment. What are you going to say, Mitch?
Yeah, well, think about your life right now. Imagine you have a bunch of stuff on your plate, like you literally do, right? There's stuff taking up your mental bandwidth. You ever have a computer and you have way too many damn tabs open, and you got all the different programs open? You're on Zoom, and then you're on
Like, oh yeah, I'm
Messenger.
supposed to read this, like these 5 articles. Oh yeah, and I'm supposed to read this, and I'm supposed to watch this video, and like
Yeah,
so much stuff.
right. It's like that's your mind right now. That's literally your brain is stuck with all these damn tabs open. And how effective are you going to be at having fun in your life and making money and being a good spouse to your partner and all that stuff? Like, you're not going to be able to do that if all this shit is open and running at the same time. So imagine though that you're able to systematically like close the things down. You're clear on what's in there, what's running. It doesn't mean you don't have anything running. It means you know exactly what's running and it's like cleaned up. That is what, like, that's what Asif and I want to help you get to. Because when you can do that and you can help people around you do that, you become more effective, right? We want to talk about too, how do you, if we're with the analogy of like a computer, it's like, we want to make sure your computer's programmed properly too. Because if you're not programmed properly, it doesn't matter how efficient you are, but that's more of a high level concept we'll talk about in a little bit. So the point of this is that we want to share with you enough of the kind of the high level overview of this to-do list. And like you said, right, it's a place where you can capture the stuff on your mind. And there's good ways of doing this, and there's really bad ways of doing this. And so, again, it's going to come back to you and how intentional you are with this. Because, yeah, when you can get the stuff captured in there and you can sort it properly so that you know what to do and it's actually an empowering to-do list, that becomes really fun. Because then your productivity goes from getting a whole, like I heard the stat the other day that it's out of the 8-hour workday, the average worker has about 2 hours of productivity. 25% of the time they're being productive. 75% of the time they're not actually being productive. So you listening, right? Maybe you're a little bit special, right? Ooh, maybe you're productive 4 hours a day out of 8 instead of 2 hours a day, right? You're double the productivity of the average human. Congrats.
Oh my God.
You're still wasting so much time. But when you have the to-do list down and you're clear on what you got to do, it becomes, you're like, you become like a hyper performer and you know what to do and you're getting the right things done. So that's key.
Right. Force multiplier.
Right? Yeah. So now let's jump into the calendar, right? Because you can have the to-do list, but if your calendar is not full with the right things, it doesn't matter. Some people confuse both and they say, oh, I just put my to-dos in my calendar. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'll repeat again. Do not do that. Okay. Don't just put your to-do list into your calendar. Here's why. You ain't going to do everything, right? What do you do when you say, I got to go, I don't know, to the Apple store and pick up a new charger for my laptop? Sure, you will want to put that in your schedule, but guess what? What if it's not that high of a priority for you? Are you going to put it in next week? Like, it's going to turn into this nasty game of you dragging and dropping around your calendar, and then it gets filled up, and then you got to move it again, and then you miss the appointment, and then you know you should have the appointment, and then you don't do it. And it's like you lose trust in the calendar, which is actually just a sign of you don't trust yourself, right? Because then, again, this stuff is an external reflection of you and your brain. So you want your calendar to almost be like sacred territory where, yes, you can put some of your to-dos into it, but it's very, very specific and intentional. You keep the remainder of it, like the docket that's full of all your other to-dos, that's in your separate note. You got that. Now the calendar, right? What does your calendar look like, Asif? Tell me. I'm curious.
Oh my gosh, has it morphed? It has morphed so much because I remember initially, I started off not using it at all for a long time. Like I literally just be like, okay, I got a call at 3 p.m. tomorrow. I'm like, okay, I got nothing going on. So it's not gonna be hard to remember that. Like, I'm just sitting around doing nothing all day. So like that was where I started, right? No calendar. and then that started to build, right? Oh, I got these calls on Mondays and Thursdays at this time every Monday and Thursday. Okay, cool. I don't really got to memorize that. It's very easy to memorize, right? I see my phone, it says Thursday. I know what day it is, not a problem. Implementing a calendar and starting to schedule in when I was getting calls, or not getting calls, but when I had booked a call, really good for me. Like, stop missing calls, stop being late, stop just being like, oh shit, it's 3:02. I had to call Mitch at 3. Fuck,
Right, because then to think about it, right? You come on the call and the starting point is like, oh, I'm sorry, I was late. Instead of just you call right at 3 and you're like, hey man, how's your day going? Very different. Like, that'll make or break a deal sometimes.
Yep, totally agree. And so it's been really interesting how my calendar has morphed to like, oh, now I'm going to put on like everything into my calendar. And when I say everything, with the caveat of I don't literally mean everything. I'm saying it relative to what I just described. I started putting all my calls in. And when I had to do certain blocks of work, I would put that into my calendar. And now my calendar is totally filled. In fact, I have buckets of time. Like, I know, Mitch, like when I'm talking about the buckets of time, right? Like the mini day points. Like, I have the buckets of time throughout my schedule where if I then have a call, then I schedule that into the call bucket of time. And if I have, just to give you a quick example, if I have a block of time that I take calls at, right? And so when I have a call, I always book my calls within a block of time. So that way, when I look at my calendar, when I open up my calendar and I have to schedule time to go do something with my wife, or I was going to originally say when I have to schedule time to go do something with my car, but then I give a different example. I'm not dreading doing things with my wife. That's the fun stuff. That's the easy stuff, right? But I still do book time for free time. When I get to go do stuff with my wife, that's for free time. But when I got to do something with the car, that's a different time than my call times. So when I pop up my schedule and I need to schedule something, it's like, boom, instantaneously. I see the slots about where that would go, and it fits together so well, like a beautiful puzzle piece that no longer drives me to anxiety.
Right. And then at a certain point, you can cross this threshold if you make the leap, right? And where you look at your calendar and it's like a visual symphony. You can see your life in front of you, and it is therapeutic. Because when I sign up for the day, what I do, like, pro tip, is when I sign up for the day, I make sure I scan my calendar one more time for what happened today and then tomorrow, and I also scan my to-do list really quick. So I just know, like, okay, I can actually now shut down this evening. And then I'll hang out with my wife or something, or I'll go to an event or whatever. And I have that peace of mind that you literally cannot have unless you do this process.
I totally agree.
Like, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You literally cannot have that peace of mind, because in the back of your mind, because some of you are still in survival pressure. You're like, I gotta make more money. I'm so close. I gotta just make 2K more this month. Okay, great. Guess what happens is that thought is now plaguing you the rest of the evening, when you sleep, when you wake up in the morning, right? And then you're back at it, and then you're like, oh, another day. Instead of you directing it and saying, okay, you know what? I know I got done. It's like, when was the last time, for everyone listening, when was the last time you had a day of work where at the very end of the day, you could actually look at yourself in the mirror and you could say, I did a full day's work. Like, I actually did my best today. I did my freaking best. Or I even beyond that, the super pro tip, because your best doesn't always cut it, right? Like, you can do your best, but you still didn't get the thing done. So it's like, you can look at yourself and say, I did my best and I did what was required to get the job done. And look at yourself. And if you can't say, like, distinctly, like, oh yeah, I did that, like, yesterday, or that's today, I'm crushing it today, or like, oh yeah, last week I had a few days like that. If you don't have that, like, that's an issue. Doesn't mean you're screwed. It just means that I'm glad you're listening to this, so we can help you get some more of the trainings and plug you in so that you can not have that happening, because you can get your life to the point where the majority of days you can look at yourself and say, I did my best and I got done what was required. Awesome. Let's go to the next level. And then every day you're leveling up instead of staying stagnant.
And that, like, that point of how, you know, if you have that thing on your mind that you haven't actually put into a structure, how it affects every part of your day, it's actually really, it's integral. It's so deep, because even just by having a schedule that um, you you flesh out, so you have your basic schedule, and then you're always structuring it to prepare for the day. Just by doing that the night before you go to sleep, before the day comes, you'll sleep easier, because all the things that you're thinking, a lot of what keeps you up at night is all the things that you know you got to get done, that you're like, shit, I got to remember to do that, I got to remember to do that, I got to remember to do that. And don't get me wrong, there are other things like you're dreading something that you got to do, right? Which is why we have certain tools in order to remove that dread and reprogram it within yourself. So you're actually projecting something beneficial rather than projecting something dreadful. So that's a separate point, which is of massive proportions. Don't get me wrong. But the part that we're talking about right now is how, when you don't externalize these parts of your mind, it keeps cycling inside of you. And the reason it keeps cycling inside of you, the reason you would think of something that you need to do over and over again, is because you're hoping that you remember it. You're hoping that you remember it, rather than schedule it or put it or make note of it in your to-do list. So you don't have to hope you're going to remember. You have a system that you use, where at the end of the day, you're dumping any to-dos that you have to do in your to-do list, and any to-dos from your to-do list that you have to schedule into your schedule for tomorrow. You're doing that so that your day is structured and planned the night before. You're going to sleep like a baby. When a baby's sleeping really well and not having nightmares and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to sleep really well. You have that opportunity in front of you, as well as if you're solving the other, you know, things that you're dreading. So really just looking at, if you're not using a calendar and you know you should be, what's holding you back? You have to look at those points before adopting the point. And a reason might be just because you didn't know how, you don't know how, you didn't realize the value of it, right? Hopefully this audio is communicating the value of it, because it's of necessity as you scale in what you're doing. And then the second part is, if you're using your calendar, how much better can you get at using your calendar? If you're using your to-do list, how much better can you get at using your to-do list? As we're talking about the calendar and the to-do list, as I'm talking about it, as Mitch is talking about it, each point, do you feel, when we're talking about our to-do list and our calendar, do you feel the same way about your to-do list and your calendar? If not, what do you think is missing? Right? And Mitch, like, if they feel like they're missing stuff, like, what do they do, man?
You got options. One is you can go it alone, right? And just try and fight it out. But how well has that been going for you? Right? The lone wolf game. It's like that phrase, right? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So cliche, but it's so true. So for those of you who say, you know what, okay, I would like some support with this. I want to know like what I can do. Reach out. Right? You can send a message to Asif or to me and just say, what should our word be, Asif?
External brain.
External brain. Yeah, brain. That'll be good, right? Because then we know exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. And this is the reason why we're making these, is because we're here to provide as much value as we possibly could to this group. And for those of you who come on the Sunday calls, I think you guys are seeing that. Like, we're willing to give everything we can to really support you guys to get to the next level. And I mean, we're here to do that. We have this shared with us, and we see how immensely valuable it has been to our lives. So we want to be able to get that opportunity to share that with you guys as well. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Because the world is full of chaos. And if you're not careful, right, that chaos seeps into your life. And then you end up just living your whole life, never progressing. And you get sold on the idea and the vision of, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be successful. But then you get to the end of your life and you never actually broke through. And we cannot let you be that. You know, we can't.
Right. So what we're creating is the bunch of people who really get this stuff, who understand not just why they got to create a world that actually benefits everybody and everything in it, but they have the how-to skills to actually do it. They have the programming to do it. Those two things hand in hand, right? Because here's another thing. You can be programmed for something, but if you don't put yourself in a position where you're accessing the tools that you need to be using in order to excel, if you don't put yourself in a position where you're accessing the opportunities in order to excel, you're never going to see the limits of that programming. You're never going to see your potential expressed, which is why we have this group. So we can create that generation of people. When I say generation, I don't just mean a literal, like horizontal slice of age. What I mean is a fleet of individuals who understand, one, why you have to make a difference in the world, why no other purpose makes sense, and there's nothing else that's going to make you happy in this world. And two, how to actually do that. It's not a charity thing. You don't do it for the charity. You actually have to be going out and building a business and gaining influence and creating networks and being quote unquote respectable. When I say respectable, I mean, have your life in order, have your life together. That's why we create these audios, to continuously support. That's why we say, hey, reach out, send me a message, send Mitch a message, so that we can support in any way we can in order to make sure that you really get everything in your life together. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, that's that. So for those of you who want this more direct like support, because Asif and I can, guide with what we see works really well and works well with other people, but we're not going to chase you down, right? You got to come to us. We'll meet you halfway. How about that? We'll meet you halfway. So send us a message, external brain, and then set a reminder, listen to this again in like a month, because there's so much in here and life changes, right? See, there's seasons to life. There's new projects come up, all sorts of stuff, right? Things come, things go. And so the things that will take you through, though, are these basic pillars in your life. And this is how you can use technology, which again, going to be part of your life for the rest of for the rest of time. There's going to be technology. So we're here to use it to our advantage. And then as new stuff comes on the screen, right? New AI comes up, new automations, all sorts of stuff that's coming down the pipeline in terms of the world and current events. We're here to also be a place, because Young Billionaires Club, we're on the cutting edge of all that stuff. Like, we research this stuff. We know what's going on. And we're here to support people with that. So you can be positioned not just to make it through, but to be positioned very well. So as new technology comes out and as certain technologies grow in the world, we can use that to get to billionaire level and use that power that we get in the most responsible way to make sure that we can actually create a better world. So that's what we're about. All right. I mean, I think that's everything on my end. How about you, Asif?
Let's go. What else is there, baby? What else is there? Implement, slap it up, reach out if you need support. And here's the cool part. If you haven't been using any of these two tools that we suggested, and then you implement those tools and actually start using it, you're going to see so much more, so that when you do listen to this audio in a month from now, after having applied the to-do list and the calendar for a week straight, 2 weeks straight, a month straight, you're going to get a whole new different dimension of what we were saying, because you can't even see it until you're doing it yourself. So if you need any support with that, there's just only so much we can do without actually seeing your direct situation. I just did this with a couple of people in the Young Billionaires Club. We got on a one-on-two phone call. I said, hey, pull up your calendar, show it to me, and I'm going to show you how to categorize it, right? Because we have a certain relationship, I was able to do that, because we have the same purpose, we're focused on the same things. And I got two guys to go through that on a literal Zoom share your calendar call, and it was epic. So I'm not saying that we're going to be able to do that for everybody, but it's really looking at where you're at and being able to support you onto your next step. So
yeah, and join the Facebook group, right? Connect with like-minded individuals. We got an awesome group. It's growing really fast, and I look forward to seeing everybody in there as well. So join that Facebook group. We got the Discord chat. We got the Sunday calls. It's a poppin' community, and it's only going to keep growing. So
yes, sir. Sunday call.
Yep.
10:30 CST, 11:30 EST.
Yeah.
We'll see you there. Until next time. Yeah, AM. Yeah.
Put that in your calendar, right? Hopefully this got you to the point where you have Google Calendar. All right. See you, everybody. Bye.
Yep.